Hello, this is DJ Time Machine. What if the Little Mermaid's tail never transformed into human legs? The Little Mermaid. Deep, deep under the sea, where sunlight breaks into silver sparkles on the waves, there stood a shining underwater palace. In that palace lived a wise grandmother and 6 mermaid princesses. Among them, the youngest mermaid was the purest and the most curious. She spent her days collecting seashells, and at night she gazed up at the starlight, shimmering through the surface of the water. Every time she looked at the stars, her longing for the world above grew deeper and deeper. When mermaids turned 15, they were allowed to visit the surface. Her sisters returned one by one, telling stories of the human world. Ships with white sails, fireworks that lit up the sky, and people dancing to joyful music. Each tale stirred a small wave inside her heart. At last, the day came when the youngest mermaid turned 15. She rose to the surface and found a large ship glowing with lanterns under the moonlit sky. On deck, a grand celebration was taking place. Music, laughter, and dancing everywhere. At the center of it all stood a young prince. So handsome he looked like he had stepped out of a painting. From a distance, the Little Mermaid watched him quietly. But suddenly, a fierce storm swept across the sea. Lightning split the sky, and enormous waves struck the ship. It shattered under the violent storm, and the prince was thrown into the water. The Little Mermaid swam swiftly and pulled him to safety. When dawn arrived, she placed him gently on the sandy shore and hid behind the rocks. Soon, a girl from the nearby village found the prince and helped him awaken. Watching from afar, the mermaid felt a deep sadness. The prince did not know she had saved his life. From that day on, the Little Mermaid could no longer live as she once had. The sea was still beautiful, but her heart remained on land. She couldn't stop thinking about the human soul, a soul that lived on forever. Mermaids lived for hundreds of years, yet in the end, they became sea foam and disappeared without a trace. To her, a life that continued beyond death was more precious than a long life without one. She wished with all her heart to become human. So she went to the sea witch. The witch agreed to give her human legs, but only in exchange for her beautiful voice. And there was more. Every step she took would feel like walking on sharp blades. And if the prince did not marry her, she would turn into sea foam at dawn. The little mermaid accepted the pain and the fear and gave up her voice. At the moment their deal was struck, the mermaid fell into a deep sleep. Hours later, she awoke with a burning pain, but her tail was still there. Her shimmering scales remained. Her voice was still hers. Her body had not changed. The transformation had failed. Her dream seemed shattered, yet her heart continued to burn with one desire: the prince. At dawn, she cut through the blue waves and swam toward the prince's ship. She could not walk, but she looked up at him with clear, brave eyes. To her surprise, the prince did not fear her. Instead, he saw in her a purity and courage that no human possessed. But the world tried to tear them apart. The royal advisors called the union of human and mermaid forbidden. The sea gods were furious that she had tried to break the rules of the ocean. Yet the prince and the mermaid stood together, breaking through the walls that divided their worlds. He gave up his royal power, and she fought to change the fate of the ocean itself. In the chaos of two worlds colliding, one truth shone brighter than anything else. Love is not about becoming the same. It is about embracing each other's differences. At last, the sea and the land reached a truce. The mermaid princess kept a shimmering tail and became an ambassador between both worlds. The prince moved his kingdom closer to the sea and built a new harbor city where humans and ocean life could live together. Their wedding became the first celebration, blessed by both the shore and the deep sea. The little mermaid never gained human legs, but she gained something greater. She became a bridge between the land and the ocean, living freely with the waves and opening a new future for both worlds. Sometimes we don't need to change into what we dream of becoming. With a sincere heart and true courage, we can open a different path, one that creates a whole new world. Differences are not limits. Sometimes our greatest differences become the strongest power to unite the world. That's all for today's story. You've been listening to DJ Time Machine. See you next time.